So I've got a feeling that in the current climate, what with inflation and energy crises and whatever else is going on out there, that gear purchases might be reducing somewhat in all of our lives. And what I'm going to do over the next few videos is show how not buying gear and in fact simplifying your setup, or how I'm simplifying my setup to actually improve, enhance my creativity and find that all important Goldilocks zone between too little and too much, too complex and too simple. And I'm going to do it from very first principles, because when was it? It was in, I don't know, I can't exactly remember, but when I moved into this shed, it was around, I know, it was July 2021. I moved into this shed, and it's actually here on the Zentor channel. You'll see the first one I did in the shed. And there wasn't a door. It was just a kind of old shed, and there wasn't a door on the shed. It was a doorless shed. So I had to go doorless, of course. And I just had a laptop, this keyboard, and I was using a Maschine Mark III as a MIDI controller, and essentially a piano VST, a couple of delay VSTs, or maybe three delay. I think it was two delay VSTs at first, and then some reverb units. And I live streamed every day, improvising a new piece. Now, I found that by doing this, my focus, which had been quite broad because I was using Moogs and various different plugins and all kinds of stuff, it zeroed in and got really, really deep. And I realized that there was actually an infinite amount I could do with just this one VST and a couple of delay, a couple of effects VSTs, so sound making VST and a couple of delay VSTs. It was absolutely incredible. And this is relevant whether you play an instrument or not. Thinking of your studio setup as an instrument, made up of kind of little other instruments, I have found is the way, or one of the way, well, it's how I have got closest to my studio feeling like it's my voice. It's like I'm speaking. And as I said, this doesn't have to be, it doesn't mean you have to actually play something. You have to play an instrument, because you can learn to play a drum machine. You can learn to play VSTs plugged into like a MIDI fighter or something. But really what it's about is understanding that our minds, our conscious, like the way that we learn things is that it starts conscious in our conscious mind. And then as we learn them, learning is literally a process of that thought kind of moving to our unconscious, because we don't have to think about it anymore. It's like driving. And the problem with this, I think the problem a lot of people encounter is that they don't realize just how little they can focus on in their conscious mind in order to learn it. So it's like starting from by showing you how I'm starting from the ground up and how I'm going to kind of build it over time, I hope will help you simplify what you're doing and start to think of your studio as a unique instrument. Because I can promise you that when you do that, not only do you get better much faster, not only is the music better, because you're having to focus on less. So there's less that can go wrong. There's more but there's more that you can do with less. You make much more music because there's a lot less steps to take. And you actually start sounding much more unique because you develop your own ways of using what you are using. Now, bear in mind, I'm going to start the same way I did last time with one piano VST. You don't have to start with one VST when you're doing this. You can do more than that. The reason I can is because I can play. So you could be, starting with a couple of things. And of course, it depends on what kind of music you want to make. So if I was absolutely dead set that I had to make techno, I couldn't just use the piano. So I totally get that. But I hope that by me actually showing you, by actually demonstrating how I'm thinking about setting this up, which always has a view to what is the simplest and clearest way that I can immediately understand what's going on so that I can learn as quickly as possible. It will help you do something similar no matter the setup you've got, whether you've got modular, whether you've got real instruments, whether you're singing, whether you're just, in a DAW. It will help you to do that. So just to finish this one, because this is like the intro one, I'll just show you where I'm starting. Essentially, what you can see behind me is, I've lost my mouse pad. What you can see behind me is not a DAW, it's a DAW host, which I have a love-hate relationship with, more love than hate though, is Gig Performer. It's a DAW host, and here you can see my hands. Hello. And essentially, what I've done is I've mapped this MIDI file. So I'm not using the model cycles for now. I'm not using any of this stuff over here. That's just sitting there for show. So at the moment, it's just this keyboard linked to this VST, which is my favorite piano VST, Pianotech. Okay. And I have mapped this MIDI fighter to these knobs here. And when I push the button, it goes to the second knob there. Right. For the purple knob, the sort of pink MIDI fighter thing. I haven't really dealt with these. So I basically got 16 controllers at the top. And that's what I'm going to start with. And this is linked to a piano VST. The other thing that I've got is this really very bright, I might actually have to get a little bit of this absolutely rubbish MIDI controller, cheap as chips, but cheap as chips is good. Inflation busting MIDI controller, this World E thing, which I can't, there's a lot of things, I can't really change what it does, but it does work. And it's my little mixing desk, okay? So what I've done is this is just set to volume. So down. I haven't set this to anything yet. I might set that to mute, but all right. And what I'm going to do first, and I'll do this in the video tomorrow, is I'm actually going to set up the hardware that I'm going to use first. Because when I did this, when I first came to this shed, my studio, as I now call it, shed and studio, is I just used VSTs. I didn't use hardware apart from MIDI controller. It was a Maschine Mark III that I was using as a MIDI controller because it had a bit of a screen on it. Aside from that, I didn't have any hardware, but I'm going to plug in. Oh, look, looks like I've gone. It's because it looks a bit green, I guess. So yes, it's a transparent. It's a see-through guitar pedal. How about that? How cool is that? It even sees through me. So yeah, it's a flashback, a TC electronic flashback. So I'm going to plug one of those in. I won't bore you with actually showing me plugging in, but I'll show you what I'm doing and where I'm starting with. And I'll probably also plug in a couple of, or maybe just one reverb, and then I'll show you how I'm building up the setup. Eventually, and this will take a little while because I haven't done it for a while. Eventually, it will be a kind of full, beats and strings and goodness knows what. But at this point, I'm just starting from just what is the one thing that my music needs, and it's a piano because that's just what I've decided it does. So that is where I'm starting. And as I said, hopefully, by watching me do this and watching how I'm thinking about it, you can apply it yourself and save you some money, make a lot more music, and your music be way better and have way more fun doing it.